Let's break the internet.
What's poppin', y'all? Well, grand total of 7,000 views in several days from what I'm gathering right now. So I don't know, did they break the internet or not? Because Akos Singh's wife, yes, she came back after humiliating him she hit a buzzer beater towards the end of last year in 2025 and just made him an absolute laughingstock. So a little bit of a refresher for those guys that don't remember. This was all started by Myron. He commissioned one of his fans, editors, clip accounts to create this compilation that boomed on the internet.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
What I find corny is my preference is not my women. Now, I thought it was I'm not dating my women, period, which is the corniest human being outside of a criminal to me, period.
Akos only dates brown. Akos has been with one girl in his life who is his wife.
That's my wife. That's an Indian woman that was like loyal to me.
After this started booming on the internet, a bunch of people started looking at it like, yo, what the hell is going on here? This cannot be real. Well, what would come even after that, because he always flexes about his wife, was always talking about his wife, kind of flexing on other people and saying like, yeah, like my wife's a virgin, like, my wife this, my wife that. And people just didn't know who his wife was. They had never heard from her. And then now here she was deciding to hop on a podcast for God knows what reason. She's just bored, just has nothing better to do because this guy's just showering her and at her beck and call. Because you can just take a look at this clip right now.
Sometimes I get so painfully nostalgic for college. I was popping my and living my best life in these white boy frats.
Okay, I have two stories. So one time I met this guy on Tinder and I made the dumb mistake of letting him sleep over, like not really wanting to up. And I like woke up in the morning and like my was a little sore.
Oh my God.
And I remember
you and your husband split finances. And I'm going to be really honest.
I don't.
We don't.
First of all, that's a red flag. I'm not like, no joke. I love you girls. If you want to work, all for that, whatever. But like any man that doesn't want to have a joint bank account or isn't being transparent with his accounts or has separate accounts, that's a red flag. This is not a two-way street. This is a one-way street. His money is our money, and my money is my money. And look, have I only made $600 from content creating?
Wow, I went up $100 from last week.
But that's my money. Okay?
I don't know if you watch The Boys, but I love him on The Boys.
I never watched that show, but like he's on my hall pass list.
Oh, yeah.
Chase Crawford, Jacob Elordi, Austin Butler, and who else?
Do you know why I think I have like a good marriage? I think it's because my husband's never here. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of comments that I'm using my husband for clout, and yeah, that's exactly what it is. No lies were told. I am leveraging the support I have. It's kind of like nepotism.
Wait till you see him. His body goes crazy. His face card always slays, never declines. And it's kind of weird because I'm talking about your husband. I just know that Nav's is like at least 10 inches. What kind of do you watch when you use a
Okay, not gonna lie, I don't watch while using a What? I just think my imagination is vibration enough.
Wow.
I'm just thinking of like my own husband while I'm like doing it.
Wait, that's kind of baller, but I could never do that.
Yeah.
This comment is so gross to me. Excuse my face, I just got a Fraxel, so it looks a little crazy, but it's like, who the f are you to talk about when I lost my virginity? I will talk about it because it's my sexuality and it's my story. So sit the f down and shut the f up. And also, do you think Akash never touched a woman before he met me? Like, we both up with people, we both were in relationships, and then together we both lost our virginity. So sit the f down. You're like, just unfollow me. You're so annoying.
So that was a whole compilation of his wife's interactions and the way that she talks about him, lusting over other women, all that stuff. So this was a whole saga. It was a humiliation. And funny enough, Akash, they bring her back on Flagrant to kind of address this. Nothing really changes, but people move on a little bit. What's funny enough, though, is that Akos Singh hadn't been back since January 28th, I believe. So it's been at least a full month of Akos not being back on the Flagrant 2 podcast, which is the main podcast he's on. His wife, Jasleen, she hadn't done a podcast episode before the Flagrant 2 one. That's the only one she appeared on since then. So she cut out her podcast, which was the best decision they could have made as a couple and as a business. That thing was a content nuke. It was draining money from the main business. She probably felt like, yeah, I could become a little comedian myself. No, you cannot. So she would hop back on and she would start. Do you think that she would say she learned anything from this, or is she going to take zero accountability, push blame on haters, and just put on this cover of, oh no, I was just an honest victim? Well, we'll see.
Moreover, what people don't realize, like, I don't even want to say his name, but this loser whose name you said, like, he was on the Flagrant podcast like 5 years ago, and my husband just humbled the shit out of him and basically embarrassed him because he was like, I think what you do is corny and it's not really helping men. So there's that. And I think every year he would try to like bait them by being like, oh, you guys are or you guys are this. But then every year that clip would circulate. And I think deep down, it really embarrassed and humiliated and emasculated him. So when all of this first started, it was like very clear to see that there was like a lot of bot farming as well. And I could tell there were bots because like the 1,500 followers I gained on Instagram, I immediately lost like within the span of 2 months. So it was like up and then down. And then like all the nastiest comments on my Instagram videos that I didn't even delete, like a month later, it was all no, 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 no. So it was like, it was starting to become clear that there were like a lot of bots, which is funny because they say very racist things against Indians and South Asians, but like that's where you get your bots. Yeah, and there was something else I was going to say, but I think that's why people were saying, oh, it's PR, it's PR. Like I would never, and my husband would never like have to do anything for PR. Like all of the traffic I got was organic before that. So I think he had like a score to settle, but instead of like doing it like a man, he did it like a little and like came at me. So, which I never really thought anyone would do, because it's also like, if you have a certain like ideal of like, you don't want women working and you don't want that, like, wouldn't I fit your ideal? Like I'm relying on my man to provide for me. So I don't know. I just, a lot of their logic is backwards to me. But yeah, the whole experience was like very weird and unsettling.
Yeah, she pulled the whole, that guy that brought her on, he pulled the whole like, yeah, like incels are going to do what they do.
So obviously Myron does what he does, and then the incels do what they do.
Every single person on every corner of the internet of every possible viewpoint looked at this and came to the same conclusion. And the funniest part is she's talking about like, yeah, like this had to be a lot of bots. Really? Yeah, her followers probably got botted. I wouldn't be surprised. That's the easiest thing to bot. And the bots probably fell off. Although people can buy, usually what happens is when people buy followers, the followers stay. I think like it comes with and that's an issue that people have had where their accounts got botted and they don't know how many of their followers are real or fake, and they're stuck with it because somebody decided to bot them. They're stuck with the botted followers. So what's more likely that happened is 1,500 people followed her. Maybe they were interested in seeing what she was going to post. She didn't post anything. She didn't put a podcast out in 3 months, so they unfollowed. That's probably what happened. Now, when she's talking about like comments becoming null and all that, that's possible. Or those people are probably really toxic and they're commenting vile stuff across Instagram and they just had their account suspended. That's another option. But I'm not willing to disagree there. But how can you say that you think a lot of this is botting when everybody on all corners of the internet was talking about it? You had every major commentator speaking on this. Did they all get botted into it? No. Like what happened was, like I said in the beginning of this video and I said before, that dude Myron, she is correct in that Myron has had a grudge on this guy for a long time. Like another individual that he's been trying to get the same thing to happen to is one of those guys from Abba and Preach. He's tried, but it hasn't really stuck yet, probably because that guy's not married and his wife's not out there embarrassing him. Or if he is married, his wife's not out there saying stuff that absolutely humiliates him. So that's probably why. And he didn't bot him from what we've seen. So that just goes to like knock down that opinion. And people that disagree with Myron or even hate Myron didn't agree with him on this point, but they looked at her and said like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Because that's the question that this guy that's across from her, like, does he think that everything that she was saying and doing is okay or what? And then she talks about like, oh yeah, I'm the one that just has him taking care of everything. That's exactly what like that guy Myron would want, right? I don't know if that's the case, but it doesn't seem like, because the thing is, the way that she describes it is so, she lacks grace. That's the number one thing we can say about her. At the very least, and that's the most polite thing we can say about Akos Singh's wife, is she lacks grace. Because it's not like, oh, thank you, you're taking care of everything. It's, yeah, your money is my money is my money. I'm gonna go out here and say it. People aren't gonna like what I'm saying, and they're gonna look at you like a loser, and I'm gonna keep doing it. I don't think that's what anybody is thinking when they have the idea of this whole like provider role. But yeah, she just tries to, I know she's being disingenuous. I'm not going to give her the benefit of the doubt. She's intentionally being just disingenuous. But then when we talk about the accountability section,
my question, because I've never gotten to ask somebody who was really on the receiving end of the internet in that, to that scale,
Yeah.
like you were, how did you feel? Like, it was like a slow burn, but it really wasn't. It was like a firestorm. Like I had people hitting me, being like, yo, what do you think?
Yeah.
Right?
I remember because you asked me this question, like, what is it like to look at like think pieces and people analyzing your marriage and your personality? It feels weird and it feels surreal because you're like, but you don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You've never talked to me. Like, you're taking the intention of this video in the complete wrong way. And I mean, this obviously goes without saying, but the misogyny was like really crazy because obviously we know it exists in our society, but to see it so rampant and like full force and just like unapologetically there, I was like, oh my God, like this is a real thing. And it's like, it was bizarre to me because I'm like, my husband can go on stage and literally has a joke in his special about like getting a hook isn't like cheating, it's just outsourcing, which I really don't care. Like, I think it's a funny joke, but it's like, if I say something that's equally, you know, raunchy, like then I'm a or all these things. When it's like, but the reality is what the reality is. It's like, I was a virgin when I met my husband. We lost our virginity to each other. And I never made that a part of my identity. I only shared that because I share my life story because I'm an oversharer. Y'all made it a part of my identity and then used it against me. I don't give a if I was a virgin or I wasn't, or if my body count was 100, but it wasn't. Those are just facts. So if you want to take like tongue-in-cheek videos and make it into something it's not, like that's not really a reflection of me, that's a reflection of them.
This is so bizarre by this lady that she will never get it because she does not want to get it. She is talking about her husband making a joke on stage. That is his job. That is his job to make that joke. I guarantee nobody in her life came and hit her up and be like, hey, did you hear what your husband said on this joke on stage? Like, is that okay with you? Nobody did that because before this, nobody knew who she was. So the only people that would be able to hit her up are people that know her in her personal life. Guarantee they didn't do that. And let me remind you, this is his job. Your thing was a side thing that was costing you more money than it made. It was a net negative, both profit-wise. It never went anywhere. And on top of that, not only did it suck, but it harmed his career. So yes, if she was doing this on Instagram for free, like part of this, like humiliating him, the way that she was talking to him, the way that she would react to him, that unanimously we all agreed, like, damn, does she even mess with dude? All of that, she was doing that on IG for free. That's not her job. So even if she was trying to say like, yeah, you know, on this podcast, I was talking like this, that's never how he talks. And he talks about it in the third person. Like he's talking about like, oh yeah, you know, the joke that she mentioned, oh, an escort is just filling in or whatever the hell the thing is. He's not saying I would do that. What she is saying is she is talking about her friend's husband and how attractive he is. And this is another thing, when has Akos ever thirsted after another chick publicly, ever even made it seem like he was interested in another chick chick publicly ever talked about his past, which doesn't exist, because apparently this chick, we have to believe her. She said that's the facts. Like, yeah, she's a virgin, but she had a roster. We've never heard of his roster because it's non-existent, obviously. So we've never heard him say anything that can be interpreted as disrespect to her. Yet, with her, there's a plethora, and her man's been in public for 10 plus years that they've been together. So this is something that will never stop. Now, she did cancel her podcast. I don't know if she's gearing up for a comeback, because that's not a good idea. She is hated. There is no fan base for her to fill in. But she still decided to come here and did not take one single lesson from it. Instead of saying, you know what, I shouldn't have been talking like that. That's how we joke. We should just joke like that personally. He would never say that about me. No, she did not take that. And there's a reason why people weren't able to create a counter compilation of Akos talking crazy. Like, the other dudes on there talk crazier, quote unquote, if you want to call it that, in ways that can be seen as disrespectful, I guess, to their wife, more than Akos. So Akos was out here being the ideal that she claims to want, and he gets punked, humiliated, and after all that, she says she tries to compare what she did, the irreparable damage to his reputation, what she did to a joke that he said on stage that none of us have ever heard. Yeah. So this lady is a demonic creature. Honestly, she's got to have like a blast radius. And by blast radius, I mean like kind of like a negative aura around her of at least 100 meters. So everyone should just stay away from her. I think her dark energy radiates, and it's dangerous to be around. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.